question from Brandon asks, how can you BAMFAM effectively? So great question. How can you BAMFAM effectively? Now, some of you are probably wondering, what the hell is a BAMFAM? So a BAMFAM means book a meeting from a meeting. And there's a couple different ways that you can BAMFAM. And it is one of, I would say, the core components of networking. From a follow-up standpoint, BAMFAM, booking a meeting from a meeting, is super important. When you're getting a new member started, BAMFAMing is super important. And so let me cover both of those. So the first way that you BAMFAM is from a prospecting standpoint. Now, there are different tiers of exposures. I would say there's around 6 different tiers of exposures in network marketing. So the highest tier of exposure would be the highest enrollment ratio. And the highest enrollment ratio is typically going to be at a social proof type event where you've got a lot of people and you've got the best presenter possible is giving the information. And so why is it the highest enrollment ratio? One, you got a really great presenter who hopefully is very persuasive. And then as important, or probably even more importantly than that, is the social proof. When they see that there's a lot of other people, there's other success stories or testimonies. In fact, when they see other people joining, that causes them to join. So that's the highest tier of exposure. Then there are lower ones. So the next one might be a home party. You know, having people over in your home. It's a comfortable environment. Sometimes easier to invite to than a hotel type meeting. That would be the second. Next would be a 2-on-1 type scenario. You and your upline, you and someone else showing the business to someone else. Then you've got a 1-on-1. Then you've got a phone or an internet exposure. And then you've got anything else. And so those are the different 6 tiers. And what you want to do from a prospecting standpoint, obviously not everyone is going to enroll on the spot. Some people, for whatever reason, they just cannot pull the trigger. Some people are pros at procrastination, right? So they want to think about it. They got to pray on it. They want to talk to their spouse, whatever it is. So what you want to do is you want to BAMFAM. You want to book a meeting from the meeting. And so let's say you're doing a 1-on-1. So you got a 1-on-1 that you're showing someone to. You can BAMFAM up. Booking a meeting from a meeting. You can book to a higher tier of exposure, which might be an in-home presentation. It might be a weekly flagship event where there's going to be more people. So you can BAMFAM up. That would be one example. Let's say you've got someone that's at the highest tier of exposure. You have them at a weekly flagship meeting and they're just not ready to enroll. And so you BAMFAM to a lower level. Now, what is the verbiage? What would you say there? Here's what I would recommend is say, you know, it sounds like this is something that definitely appeals to you. And, you know, I want to make sure you get all the information you need so you can make an informed and educated decision to do this. So the next step would be to have you follow up and come here and do this. And so you're going to give a command. This is the next step. And you just tell them the next step. So then you meet for a 1-on-1, or you might meet for coffee with you and your upline if the person's not ready to enroll right away. So what you're doing is you're BAMFAMing from a prospecting standpoint. You can BAMFAM up to a higher tier of exposure or to a lower tier of exposure. Now, let's say you've done a couple of those. Maybe they've come to a home meeting, they've come to a weekly flagship, or they came to a home meeting, they came to a 1-on-1, or a 1-on-1 to a 2-on-1, whatever it is. Once they've been through a couple tiers of exposures, I'm not going to keep wanting them to come back. What I'm going to do is I'm going to BAMFAM to a phone decision. Because if you don't push people to make a decision, they never make a decision. And so part of what we do in this business is we lead. Leaders lead. And so what you want to do is you say, great, well, here's what, you've been through a couple exposures. By now, I think you have enough information to make an informed and educated decision to do this. And I just don't want to keep putting it off. I don't want to keep having to follow up. Both of our time is, super valuable. So how much longer do you need to make a decision? 24 hours, 48 hours, what works for you? So you're giving an either or, 24 hours, 48 hours, what works for you? I do the exact same thing every time. It's 24 or 48. In many cases, they're going to go with the longer decision. So 48 hours, and they say, great. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to call you Tuesday at 7 o'clock, or let's say it's right now, Monday at noon or 2 o'clock Dallas time. I'm going to call you Wednesday at 2 p.m. and you give me a thumbs up, thumbs down. Either way is totally cool. I just see, a huge potential in you. I think you can absolutely crush this business. And I know if you lock arms with me and let me be your wingman, if you'll be coachable and teachable, I will not let you fail. So I'll talk to you Wednesday at 2 o'clock. Cool? Great. So you're going to call them then and they make a decision. So if you're constantly following up with people over and over and over, you are not in production mode. You're doing what's easy. It's way easier to follow up with a prospect who's already seen the business than it is to prospect a new person. So that is how you BAMFAM from a prospecting standpoint. Now, let me answer, here's how you BAMFAM with a new member. So let's say you have a new rep, a new distributor in your organization. They sign up, and so what you want to do is BAMFAM, book a meeting from a meeting to get them into production mode. So what you're going to do, and I've done this a ton of times, someone's brand new. They sign up in an evening flagship event or a travel party or a 2-on-1. It doesn't matter. So what you're going to do is here's what I do, is kind of a two-step. Say, hey, what are you doing tomorrow at lunch? Nothing. So I'm clearing the date first. I'm doing this because I want to book a meeting from a meeting. So what are you doing tomorrow at lunch? I'm going to clear the date. They say they're free. I'm going to say, awesome. We're going to get your business started tomorrow at lunch. What I want you to do is invite 3 or 4 people to come to lunch with you with the goal of having at least a bare minimum of 2 people that show up. And what's going to happen is I'm going to do the presentation for you. I'm going to go through the information with your friends. I'm going to kind of show you how we do this, and we're going to kick things off. So here's how you invite. And you train them on how to invite someone to lunch or to whatever the meeting is. So what I just did is I BAMFAM'd. I booked a meeting from a meeting for that new member to get them into action quickly, because always remember this. This is a core principle in our business, is an object in motion tends to stay in motion. An object at rest tends to stay at rest. And so if you don't get someone into action quickly, they're very likely to never get into action at all. So my friends, that is how you BAMFAM. Thanks so much for that question.